I honestly think that one of the biggest lies ambitious people are told is that success is mostly about competence. Like, if you just become smart enough, disciplined enough, impressive enough, that you will automatically get opportunities. And for most of my life, I truly believed that. I was even top of my class in statistics in the UK. I had a first class degree. I worked with brands like Amazon Devices and Rolls-Royce really early on in my career. And then I became a behavioral design consultant, which is basically studying how people actually make decisions in real life, not how we think that they make decisions. And one of the biggest things that I learned from behavioral psychology is this: we don't actually know why we make decisions. People are not nearly as rational as they pretend that they are. Robert Cialdini is someone who talks a lot about this. He's a professor over at Arizona State University. He wrote about influence. He talks about this principle called reciprocity. And reciprocity is the idea that when someone consistently adds value to our life, we naturally feel inclined to give back, and not in a manipulative way, just in a deeply human way. And honestly, reciprocity changed not only my career, but my life, because the opportunities that actually changed my life almost never came from blindly applying online. They came through my relationships. They came through me sitting across from someone and saying, "Hey, I care about you, and I think it's really cool what you're doing." And once I started noticing this pattern, I realized my mentor got me my first job, and my yoga slash blog relationship got me my second. Like, I had a friend in yoga, and I made a blog, and then I got my second job. And then I started a podcast, and that's how I started working with a 3-time New York Times bestselling author. It wasn't just competence creating my opportunities, it was trust. It was giving first. So so I want to pull you back to that first story in university, how my mentor got me my first job, because I had applied to hundreds, and the company I got a job at was actually a company that I had already applied for and already got rejected from. I did have internship experience at a private equity like accounting division in their marketing and their accounting division. Like, I did marketing and I did accounting, but that wasn't enough to get me a job even with my first class honors degree in the UK. So she vouched for me. Her husband was working at the company. She's like, "This girl is great. She's hungry. She's a hard worker." I started as an intern. I got promoted within 3 months. Her trust in me became social proof for the company. And if you don't know what social proof is, it's basically like when you see a company with 1,000 5-star reviews versus a company with like 2 5-star reviews, which one are you going to trust more? So having someone that the company trusts vouch for you is huge. So she not only had social proof with which Robert talks a lot about, she also had authority. Her husband worked there and they knew this lady well. And this is something that behavioral psychology talks about consistently. So now I want to jump back into the principle of reciprocity. So to explain this simply, humans naturally return value and relationships compound over time. Your generosity, the seed that you plant today builds equity, right? You don't just do something nice to someone and never see them again unless, you're out in a coffee shop and you do your $10 thing. I do that. I just give people random $10 sometimes in coffee shops. But most of the time when you're meeting people and you do nice things for them, those goodwill gestures compound over time. Even if it's not a sale, maybe they just end up being your friend. Maybe you just end up having an awesome time together. I have relationships like that too, and I'm so grateful for those friends. But some of those opportunities do lead into business. And because people trust me so dearly, when it comes to them wanting to work with me, they really want to work with me, right? And so they trust me. They trust I'm going to do the right thing by them. And therefore, I feel like I get very good clients most of the time. And I'm able to name my price because there is that trust. Another example of this, which I mentioned, was my second job in behavioral design consulting. So I started going to yoga with this lady in London, and she was super cool. Like, she'd done a TED Talk, she'd spoken at House of Lords. Her name is Denise Hampson. Shout out, Denise. I still think you're awesome. And yeah, we just were talking, and then she came out with like her own blog series on a certain set of behavioral design principles. I'm really interested in psychology, so I had my own blog at the time. I was like, this lady's cool. I'm writing a blog about every single one of her blogs and I'm sharing it, right? So that obviously like made her realize that I was genuinely interested in what she did. And when I wanted a raise at my other job, I came to her and what I asked was, how do I negotiate more pay? And what she said to me back was, I have been thinking about hiring you for a while. And that's how I got into my second job. I felt so blessed for that. It was a really great experience. And I wasn't even networking transactionally. I was participating in this relationally. You can see the difference, right? There was no long-term strategy here. It was just I was really interested and I considered this lady a friend. It happened very organically, and that's how I found a lot of my best relationships actually do occur. I'll be generous and that person will be generous back, and that's a signal to me that this is going to be a positive relationship. Now, if I am generous and someone takes advantage of that or is not giving back, then that's an indication to me that I maybe shouldn't be as close with that person. Not because we use people and we should only be in relationships who are always receiving, but good close relationships, they should be reciprocal. They shouldn't be draining. And I wanted to say this because most people think that networking is manipulation or sales is manipulation, but real networking is usually long-term trust building about like the service that you offer that you actually believe in. And that's why I do still think that building skills and having competence is really important because you want to believe in what you're selling. It's going to feel slimy if you don't believe in what you're doing. But networking itself can honestly just be very relational and you can just be a good fucking person and get what you want. So I wanted to mention AI as well, because when AI entered the picture, it kind of made this whole point that I'm making right now all that much stronger, that competence isn't necessarily going to get you everywhere that you want to go, because people are either faking competence now or they're getting lazy with their use of AI, or the best of the best are using AI to such a high level that you have to use AI to outrun them. But something that people are never going to be able to outrun is the way that you build your relationships, the way that you are in person, the way that you care about people, the way that you just naturally don't want to hurt anyone and you don't want to screw anyone over, but you also want to protect yourself. Like that is so magnetizing on an energetic level that if you can nail that, you will be able to nail sales. And once you nail sales, you will never be able to be replaced by AI. Maybe the automation part of it, maybe even funnels. But if you are able to build relationships and like talk yourself into jobs, which is a type of sale, or talk yourself into your own contracts, you will always have that sense of security that you are looking for in someone else. Because I know you watching this, you're probably like how I used to be, where you look for your sense of security in that job paying you consistently, in XYZ, whatever it is, where like God is the security, right? I talk about my spirituality sometimes, like I am Christian, but God is truly the security. And so once you realize that, you are able to distinguish from like all this tech out here. I think it is good to learn it. It is good to be competent, but there is never going to be a replacement for the human experience and the energy that you bring into a room. That is something that AI is never going to be able to replace. Because AI is making competence cheaper, which means that human trust is becoming more valuable. Okay, with that being said, I want to bring in a few other concepts for you. Just I love talking about psychology and I think it's really going to help you. So, this is a little bit of Dan's work, who I mentioned was the 3-time New York Times bestselling author that I work with. He's really awesome. I definitely recommend like reading his work. Just even writing his LinkedIn post gave me so much extra context around psychology, even though I'd already had a job in it. But something that I learned from Dan was that humans decide emotionally first. And so if you have that good feeling around you, if you're able to sell something not only with emotion, but then also logic, if you are able to sell the emotion and then provide the logic, it'll be a very easy sale for you. Your life will be like cutting butter with a knife. It really, if you're able to just build that trust, build that emotion, and also not harp on things right away, right? Like have a little bit of patience, build extra interactions. I want to bring up some study as well where they talk about restaurants, right? So the first time you go to a restaurant is something like 43% chance that you'll come back if you had a perfect experience. Second time, 47% if you had a flawless experience. And then after that, it goes up and up and up, right? So there's this marketer, he talks about how he markets to 4 visits, not just one. So it's like free rib dinner, $5 off a chicken, something like that. And I want you to have the same approach with you meeting people. You want to give them excellent experiences for however long it takes, right? But at least to 4 times. Like, you don't have to ask for something right away. Be a giver. Be a giver, right? And they will naturally want to give back. I do also want to talk about the dark side of giving, though, because it's something that really affected my life. And it's mostly like a self-worth thing, I think, or like not really knowing your boundaries. I've talked about this in other videos, but I come from, like, my mom's an immigrant and stuff like that, so I have always just had that, like, work hard, work hard, work hard, and you can be anything, and that's where that comes from. Love my mom. She's the best, and she's done so well for herself. Like, she's amazing, but I've always had this idea that achievement equals safety. And so there have been times in my career where I found myself overworking, waking up at 4 a.m. I was so burnt out, and my cortisol was going like crazy. Like, I got a cortisol zit this month, but I used to get them like every month, right? And this one went away really fast too. They normally like stick around. It was just so bad for me. I was also like 55 pounds heavier than I am right now, which I'm like 115 pounds right now, right? So it's like my body was stressed out to the max, and I always had some sort of issue with something. Whether, like, mostly it was an eating disorder since I was like 13. I would just fluctuate so much because I was always trying to achieve something, and I would go too hard whenever I was in a season of trying to achieve that thing, and now I would burn out and I would undo all my progress, because doing a good thing doesn't stop you from doing a bad thing. You might just have less willpower to not do the bad thing that's going to take you really far away from your goals. Like, just because I was dieting doesn't mean that I wasn't binge eating eventually. Just because I was building relationships, it didn't stop me from doing free work for too long. Like, there are things that'll really set back your progress. And if you can find out who you are and what you don't stand for, what you cannot tolerate as a person, you will be way more protected and be able to give freely within what you actually can. Some good indications just from a spiritual side of things that'll indicate that you are giving too much: you will feel resentment. You will feel like this person owes you something, because that dives into, okay, now you're being manipulative. Now you probably are giving to get something instead of just giving to give, right? So if you feel resentment, if you feel like this person owes you something, those are 2 signs to stop giving to this person as much as you currently are. Give what you can and what's within your limits. Your feelings are going to be really good consultants for helping you make decisions about your life. So now I want to get to the turning point, which is just when I was able to bring all this together and get to a place of alignment, self-regulation, and having strong boundaries. So that way I was able to bring my full energy into the room. So that way I could preserve energy for myself to have enough to give back and really add value and give in a way that allows people to trust me, because people can really feel energy. They can feel magnetism. And one of the most attractive things that you can do in terms of getting business and getting people to respect you is not putting up with bullshit. Don't do it. I had a client like a month ago pay me late, right? And so I literally did not show up to a meeting next morning until I saw that that money was going to hit my bank account for sure. They had to send me proof of the transfer. That's a very reasonable boundary. But I know some of you watching, because I know an older version of me that wouldn't have asked. I know an older version of me that went 7 months without getting paid from a client. I know an older version of me who gave up all my clients to someone that I loaned $20,000 to. Have boundaries. They will protect you, and they will allow you to give in this way that allows people to trust you, allows people to value you and respect you, and also allows you to value and respect yourself if for whatever reason someone decides to disrespect you. Because at the end of the day, it's you. It's you, and that's who you've got. So my core message here, what I want you to really take away from this, so really listen right now, is that hard work still matters. Competence still matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. Skills still matters, because they will give you confidence in yourself, right? They will give you the things that allow you to add value to other people's lives. But relationships multiply opportunities, trust compounds, reputation compounds, and consistency compounds. And within all of that, how you respect yourself matters the most. Do not overextend yourself here. You want to find the place in the middle. The older I get, the less I believe that careers are built through performance alone. There is such an emotional, spiritual aspect to this that you can't only have the skills of your job itself. There's emotional regulation skills. There is a base level of self-respect, and there is a journey to be had. So if you want to start that journey, again, lots of free resources on my website below. I'm going to be posting every Wednesday and Saturday. and I'm going to be staying consistent with it like I have. So make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below this video. I read all your comments. See you next time.